Hey everybody, hope you're doing well out there. My name is Chris, and I just quickly wanted to go over what's going to be covered in this video. A few of you may already know, but Games Done Quick is a speedrunning event that benefits multiple charitable organizations, such as the Trevor Project, CARE, and the Prevent Cancer Foundation. The summer version of this event, SGDQ, specifically benefits Doctors Without Borders. This year's event in 2022 was held in Bloomington, Minnesota, and was especially a big deal to the community because this was the first time they had been back in person since 2020. While the first part of this video will cover a few of the things I saw when I first arrived, my main focus are the interviews with the attendees. This is because it was my very first time attending a GDQ, and I wanted to get to know the core community first and foremost. While admittedly it was very daunting to go to an event I'd never been to before and reach out to strangers to interview them, I actually ended up meeting a lot of very charming people and got to learn what speedrunning and GDQ means to them. So with that being said, I am so excited for you guys to hear what these members of the speedrunning community have to say about GDQ and their experience thus far. Let's go ahead and hand it off to editor Chris, who's going to go over the first portion of this video with you guys before the interviews. Hey guys, so before the interviews start, I just wanted to walk through some footage I got of the event and of the hotel room. Just going to be narrating on the fly for you, just give you further just insight to what the event is like when you get there. All right, let's hop into it. All right, so this is outside the hotel. I just arrived. I think it's day 0, so not many people have arrived just yet. They're still setting up. Just a regular DoubleTree hotel. This is outside in the front. I just cut. I was like, if I'm gonna be getting any footage, it might as well be when almost nobody is here. Now this lobby is like full of people when the event is going on. Lots of people playing cards or just kind of meeting up, you know, as a meet-up point before they go somewhere. It's like, we'll just meet in the lobby. All right, so this is the restaurant area, and it is poppin' when it is open. This is obviously at a closed time, but this was a very popular spot. It's where you get your alcohol and all sorts of delicious food. They made a lot of stuff, I think specifically for GDQ, some entrees that were just slamming. Okay, so this is the arcade floor. This is where they had a bunch of arcade cabinets. And this was like very COVID friendly. As you can see when we walk up here, that they're all spaced, you know, pretty far away from each other so that you wouldn't be in anyone's personal space or anything. So this is Sunset Riders, which pretty cool. I guess it's a cowboy game. I'm down. I love it. Made by Konami. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of course. Not quite Shredder's Revenge, but you know, Dungeons and Dragons. Really neat. Did not know that there was a arcade version of this game. So we're going straight to some pinball machines now. The basic in me is like, yo, Game of Thrones, this is the sickest. But it really was pretty cool. Really pretty pinball machine. Star Wars, here we go. I love the art on this one. So cool. And they got the little R2-D2 droid up there. More artwork. Still badass. I love the amount of detail they put into this one especially. Really, really cool. Lots of love shown to these arcade cabinets. Gotta show all the faces, of course. And the pole is a Stormtrooper helmet, so that's pretty great. So all 3 of these, that Game of Thrones one, this Metallica one, and the Star Wars one, they're actually all made by a company called Stern, and they have like 3 types of these pinball machines, different styles, different tiers almost. And it looks like these were all like the high tier Swords of Fury. I don't know what that is, but it looks cool. Yeah, okay, so this one was rocking the house. This was easily the loudest machine on the whole floor. Listen to that. One of the first practice rooms, I believe this was for runners only. And of course, some of the coolest CRTs. You gotta have your Dora the Explorer CRT. Badass. All right, so we're about to walk through another room. This one was, I believe, open. This was one of the public rooms that everybody was allowed to go into and use. You can see there's no shortage of practice space. Regular monitors and CRTs, no shortage of any of those. and of course the GOAT, the pink Disney CRT. I love it, and in great condition too. This is a gaming PC that Cloud9 had at their booth. Cloud9 was not renting out, but kind of like you give your ID in exchange to hold a console for a bit. Alright, so this is my hotel room. Just gonna take a walk around. This is the single person one, so I had a really nice big bed and good sized TV, just enough space for one person. And that's the interview setup, which is cool. Okay, great. Now with that portion of the video out of the way, let's get to the interviews. Alright, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey there, I'm Tempestral. I'm I guess I would say a casual speedrunner and speedrunning fan. I run a marathon. But this is my first time coming to GDQ.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex. My screen name is Just the Iguana. I'm mostly a long-time watcher type of person.
I go by Wubba Dubsman. It's my first GDQ in person, so happy to be here.
Sunny Fruitcake. It's like a long time ago, like Xbox Live 360 days. I didn't know like what to put, so like it kind of just like vomited this and like assigned it to me, and it was something like stupid and silly, but it was like, that's stupid, I'll just keep it. And then like you are like 15 years later and I still have it.
I'm Graf. Not really a whole lot to say. I've just speedrun a little bit of Ocarina of Time here and there. Never got up to actually submitting anything. Not happy with my times, is what it is. Sort of help out around various little communities like the N64 Homebrew and TaskBot every now and then, just little things here and there.
I'm from Canada. I'm from the capital, Ottawa, and the trip was pretty all right. Just two flights, and it was pretty straightforward, I'd say. It's nice that they have a shuttle from the airport to the hotel. That was pretty convenient.
I'm from Toronto, Canada. It was a long trip. It was a flight. It's not so bad. I'm going to be taking a bus back. That's going to be the long trip.
So yeah, we're from Rochester, New York. Thankfully, it was a easy trip to get here, not too complicated.
Good.
Surprised with all the travel problems these days, so glad it was smooth sailing to get here.
I'm from Ann Arbor, so it was a 13-hour drive.
Oh my
we
goodness.
brought my cat, so
Oh my gosh, really? That's
yeah,
awesome.
he has asthma, so we
Aw.
have to bring him with us. It was awesome. We had done it in 2019, and when they said that they were coming back to Bloomington, Minnesota, I was like, we have to go.
Yeah, wasn't that bad. I got a little bit of rain here and there, but that's just driving.
I gotcha.
I come from East Coast, it was like 16, 18-hour drive. Just a straight shot, drive, get gas.
Yeah, this is my first time attending. I've been watching online for quite a number of years now, since I want to say 2016 or 2017, but this is the first time I've been able to attend in person. I'm having a lot of fun so far. It definitely wasn't entirely what I expected. I knew some of the things that, I know people who have been to GDQ, but I wasn't. I guess on one hand, I was expecting that it was going to be sort of laid back, but I also wasn't expecting it to be quite so laid back. And I guess part of that is because, there's reduced attendance this year. But I guess in my head, I was thinking there's going to be like organized stuff happening outside of the stream room. And for the most part, it's been kind of a free-for-all, which I guess I wasn't expecting. But then there's, stuff like the practice rooms and all that, where it's just like, people were saying from previous years, it's been a great time.
Yeah, first time attendee, first time in person. So the in-person versus the online, there's a very different atmosphere here, especially when you're watching live. You can see what's going on behind the stage. That's not something I expected. You can see the runners and all this tech and setup, which is awesome. I'm also volunteering, and that was a part of the experience that I didn't have any preconceptions about. If it's okay to go into this more deeply right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was on setup and got a shift on the very first day. So we walked into the room, there was the shift manager and 2 other volunteers and a whole whack of boxes, and there's pretty much nothing on the stage. We do some work unpacking and moving the boxes around. Come back the next day, there's some stuff going on the stage and screens and wiring. By the third and the fourth day, we've got a full stage setup. We're starting to get 10 to 20 people in the room working on it all together, and just seeing that come together was so amazing. And also the hype in the room when the event got actually started. It's what makes going there in person worth it.
This will be my third in-person GDQ. This year, I'd say it's the best year so far because we're back after being gone since 2020. So everybody has the feeling of like, wow, I've missed this. I've wanted to come back. There's less people, so there's more room to breathe. You don't feel like you're tripping over people, as well as there's just more room to do stuff. And because there is less people, it feels more personal.
Yes, first time in person. It's been amazing so far. It's such a great community, and I'm glad to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah, for the most part. I will say some of the COVID restrictions probably have dampened it a little more than I would have liked, especially the stream room. Just everyone is so far apart that you can't like be with your friends and group up and talk a little bit and like whisper back and forth. Like it just kills some of that vibe. But otherwise, you know, just actually being able to hang out around the rooms and talk to people, and you know, it is really, really good that they broadcast it to all the TVs so that we can have those interactions. And you know, if you want to see that in silent big run in person, stream room works great for that in this configuration even.
I don't remember exactly how I heard about it. I think I was in college, and one of my flatmates showed me of the video of, I think it was Dram doing the run of it was a Kaizo Mario Bros. It was the first Kaizo Mario Bros. And I remember being super impressed with how fluid that was. I think that was at one of the 2015 GDQs, and I was just blown away by it. But I didn't actually show that much interest in it, and then I guess a little while later it popped back up on my newsfeed in some form, and I ended up following it more closely. And then I think the thing that really got me into watching consistently was I found PJ DeCaesar's run of Lagoon, and then I watched a bunch of his other runs, and I was like, this is great, which is why I now primarily watch Awful Block.
I must have started watching GDQ back in around the 2016, 2017 area, and this is going to connect with some other things about how I found speedrunning in the first place, but just short preview on that was the first speedruns I saw were SM64 task videos. And I didn't really hear about GDQ, I just saw it in the recommended videos on those SM64 tasks. Click the links, there were other games, click those links, eventually went into the channel and just stuck through it for about 5 years going now, I guess.
Like 2014, 2015, I was scrolling through Twitch, and there was a channel, and they were doing Ocarina of Time before. And growing up, I loved Ocarina of Time, and when I didn't know what speedrunning was, what Games Done Quick was, but I clicked onto it and I saw the estimate for Ocarina of Time, and I was like, there's no way that this is real. And I watched them do the skip when he backflips. He has to pause buffer, and he backflips, and then he lets the bottle down, and then he opens the door, and he goes through, and he's at Ganon's castle, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I've caught every Games Done Quick since then.
So my college friends get together for like a reunion group, and we just like hang out for a week and get up to our old college antics. And one of our little reunions was the same week as Summer GDQ in 2017. And they were obsessively watching it, and I was like, what is this? I did not understand what was going on the screen. And then they played a game that like I recognized, and ever since then I've been hooked, and I watch every GDQ, and I watch Hotfix all the time too as well. It's definitely become a routine of mine.
I've watched clips of it here and there past few years. Probably about 2015, 2016 is when I started actually watching catching it as best I could, and then obviously whenever 2020 SGDQ came around, that's whenever I started paying a lot more attention and got a lot more involved.
I think I learned about it at the same time as that first video that I watched of Dram, because I want to say around 2015 or so, it was still sort of going through that phase of rapid growth, and so that's sort of when I got caught up in it, along with a lot of other people, I think. Yeah, it must have been it.
SM64 TAS was one of the first few things I must have learned about. And at that point, honestly, it was just watching people do fancy tricks in TikTok clock. So somewhere in between there and GDQ, but again, it was mostly just lurking on YouTube and seeing these people do these cool things in video games.
When did I first learn about speedrunning? After I watched Games Done Quick like 2013, 2014, I just looked up on Twitch like Resident Evil, and I came across like Bakba Soup and like Eternal Enigma and Retro Brando, and that's when I just like deep dive headfirst into like speedrunning. They were running my favorite games, and I just left it on. And for me, I wasn't always watching, but it was just very comfort watching to listen to people like just enjoy the same things that you do and enjoy speedrunning and explaining to you like, hey, there's this trick or this, and just listen to people like reminisce about their favorite games.
I can recall people just racing and, yeah, I beat it this fast and blah, 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 and wasn't really anything official. I was really aware of just people sort of competing back and forth here and there, comparing strategies and whatnot. That's more what I saw.
I'm a big fan of zips. I love seeing ways that people can get stuck into walls and flinging themselves out. I also really like skips that come about as a result of exploits in a game's movement. So, for example, like Super Mario 64 has some really incredible movement stuff, right? Things like backwards long jumping, or getting like a bomb clip, using bombs to push you through thin walls, I think are really, really cool. Oh, the Super Mario Odyssey skip, the darker side skip that we saw last night was absolutely mind-boggling. I thought that I had seen all there was to see with Super Mario Odyssey. Like, oh, it's been the popular speed game for a while. I wasn't gonna watch it, and then the energy in that room when the runner got that skip, like, I was not. It went on for so long, and then they did a lava bounce onto the cap to get. Blew my mind. It was so good.
I think in AGDQ there was a runner playing Pumpkin Jack, which is a game that I'd never heard of before, but he was doing this like insane like swinging grappling trick where he was just launching himself across the entire like game, and it was the coolest thing I've watched, and he actually got a world record on that run. So not only was it like an amazing trick, it was also a really great run too.
There's a good handful of fun ones. I don't know. Ocarina of Time, ISG, Infinite Sword Glitch. That one's always fun. Just any new player can get that pretty quick, honestly. Just get the timing right, and then it's always fun watching someone learn that for the first time, because like it's a little frustrating for a lot of people because they will either want to go way too fast or they're just not quite fast enough. And it is frame perfect, so you are working at a 20 FPS game, so frame isn't that bad, but because it's that just getting it moment, and just seeing them do it, and then eventually a couple more times later, it just becomes like free for them. It just, I don't know. It's always nice to see people learn it. And it is very useful in many contexts as well, so it just is what it is.
I did for a bit. So I had some games as kids. I grew up during the 2000s, so like all the games that I had when I was a kid were like either 2000s PC games or PlayStation 2 games. So I got 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue, a licensed title based on a live action film that no one asked for, and shockingly good speed game. Genuinely a really, really solid speed game, and I really wish more people would know about it. It's been on hotfix at least once, I think twice, and deservedly so. But I speedran that for a bit. It didn't really get super far, and then I speedran a VeggieTales video game for a short while. But the one that I've actually put the most effort into is a Neo Geo Pocket Color game called Metal Slug First Mission. And of the two Metal Slugs on that system, it's definitely not the better of the two, but nobody had done a run of it, so I got to route and like time all the levels and figure out the optimal plays for all of that. And it's been really rewarding to watch other people learn it. So I've done some speedrunning, but for the past few years, just as a result of school and work, I've sort of taken a step back from that, and I mostly focus on event management now. But I want to get back into it because it's a good time.
Do you speedrun in your life at all?
I do. So like
Okay.
ever since Games Done Quick, like it's helped, like speedrunning has helped me like appreciate the games that I grew up with, because a lot of times in like modern games, like I won't say I don't play new games. Like obviously I get like Smash and like, you know, Yakuza Like a Dragon, but as I get older, my taste in games it's changed, and I get burnt out of the new games really easily. And speedrunning like Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2 on GameCube or Super Monkey Ball, it makes me appreciate how different those games were, and they feel so, like games now feel very cookie cutter versus like when I go and I speedrun like a Resident Evil. And yeah, it's corny and it's hokey, but like it also helps me appreciate being able to put in this many hours, like really appreciate the medium that games are, and being able to spend like 30, 40 hours a week just speedrunning Resident Evil and the music and just everything. It's really deepened my love for the retro games, and it's got me more, speedrunning has got me more into retro games than modern games.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I'm impatient. I learned as an adult that I have ADHD. I wonder if that has something to do with it. But I don't know. I always used to rush when I was a kid. I played violin when I was younger, and I would always practice stuff faster than I should. I was never cared about tempo when I was practicing, much to my mother and teacher's annoyance. But when I was playing video games, I remember like playing like Final Fantasy 12 and having to grind out levels in some areas and trying to go for the optimal line and trying to make sure that I got through areas as quickly as possible, cutting the tightest corner possible around enemies to not aggro them and stuff. Or trying to figure out if I could go from one platform to another to get just a little bit faster, to make, not necessarily to go fast through the game, but usually to get through areas I'd played before, right? To get repeat content out of the way faster so I could get to the good stuff. So I was definitely, maybe not developing strats, but I was definitely trying to go fast before I knew what speedrunning was, sure.
Oh yeah. Not necessarily speedrunning and timing for a whole run, but definitely doing speedrun tricks. I know that you feel the same, but Halo 2, there are all these guides online and tricks and things that you can do to help yourself get skulls and just walk on top of the level, and that was very cool. Spent a lot of time having fun with that. And the other thing is Super Mario Galaxy, which is a speedrun that I would like to get into very soon. And that is just a game where you skip the level as a child doing your casual playthrough. Looking back at the speedruns of that game that have been at GDQ, like half the stuff is familiar, especially in the last level, walking on top of the world. Been there, done that, just not as professionally.
Yes, but it wasn't. It was like when I grew up playing Super Mario Bros. 2, 3. Obviously, as you beat them, you get bored of them as a kid, so then your mind is like, well, how can I do it faster? And you, as a child, like, you don't understand, like, you just try to do as fast as you can, just take, like, reckless jumps and stuff. But then when I really started getting into speedrunning, I was like, oh, I've tried, like, a very primitive version of that. But, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Like, way back in, say, middle schoolish, we would compare runs here. Like, not really compare runs, but, oh yeah, I sat down this weekend and cranked out this entire thing. Or, oh yeah, I did that too. I actually did it in just Friday and Saturday, and and then, oh, I did this in one sitting, and you would get some of that stuff. I don't know how much of that counts, as we weren't like tracking times, but some of the spirit of that, of just trying to go fast and comparing and whatnot, was still there. So it's kind of.
I don't know, speedrunning to me is just, it's a fun thing to do, I guess. It's a fun hobby. I don't try to get too seriously, but actually, no. One of the things that is really meaningful to me about speedrunning is that it's a way that I can compete without necessarily feeling the burden of competition too much. I tried playing competitive Smash Bros. And it killed me. I couldn't take it. It actually kind of killed my love of the game, if I'm being honest with you. But speedrunning came about right after that for me, and what I really liked about it was, yeah, I can still be competitive, but I only really need to be competitive with myself. I can get better and better and better, and I don't need to necessarily feel like someone else is stepping on me, which is very much a me problem, but it was a solution to that problem. So I really like that. It lets me be competitive if I want to, but it's not like a requirement, so some of the burden is eased off me, and I like that.
So going back to Galaxy, I think this is a great example. And that's a long game. It must have taken me months as a kid, and I'm busy now. We're going to get into a period of life where we've got full-time jobs, we're raising kids, we haven't got a lot of time. Speedrunning can be a way to get the full experience out of a game while being so busy and not having to spend months and months on it. It can be a way to gain and use the knowledge that you've gotten out of it. And Pokemon is a great example. You see the Pokemon runners, and they're doing all the calculations in their head, and they know everything, and they know the stats for every single Pokemon. Speedrunning is the way that you can get that out of a game.
Speedrunning to me is not necessarily the games. I think it's the community, and speedrunning is, it's not just the game. I think it's more friends, it's community, it's family, it's inclusivity, it's together, it's, I don't know, I can't really explain it into one word, but I'd say speedrunning is not just about going fast, it's about making friends, and it's about doing it together.
To me, it's just kind of like any other sport of sorts. You're just competing on some sort of ground rules. You're all trying to do a similar action as fast as you can, just showing what you are capable of and what you know about this game, your specialization in that thing.
I think the speedrunning community, oh man, well, some opinions about the speedrunning community. And broadly, they're good. I really like the speedrunning community. I think overall, I would say it's a very welcoming community. The folks are in it, I think, are generally really nice and helpful, and are really just passionate and excited to teach people about their particular game that they run. And I really like that. You get these pockets of specialized knowledge that are really interesting to dive into. There's nothing that I like more than speaking with someone who is really both very knowledgeable and intensely driven to get really good at their game, to dig into it and figure out all the secrets and find out how stuff works. That's the sort of thing that makes me tick. And I love talking with people about that. So I really like that sort of thing is encouraged in the community. I do think the speedrunning community is also, to a certain degree, driven by performance, and I don't mean performance like getting good times. I mean like performing for others. And I have to imagine, I'm not, again, I came in 2015. I'm not particularly I'm not like a known quantity in the speedrunning scene. I can't tell you about like the SDA era, but I suspect that because speedrunning came around at the same time as live streaming became incredibly popular, there's been this shift in, you can really tell that there was at one point a shift in culture where it became about performance, and the dominance of speedrun.com has led to fast times at the expense of all else, in some cases being favorable. And I'm not going to pass judgment on the speedrunning community for that fact. It's just a circumstance of the environment around the community, I think. But I think that has affected some of it. I think there's a certain degree of performativeness, or there's a performative nature to the speedrunning community that I'm not always fond of. But at the same time, I think even outside of that, I've met a whole ton of folks at this event, and I'm really happy to report that all of them have been really, really kind and forthcoming and welcoming. So the fact that it's also really accepting of a diversity on all stripes is also very, very nice. I definitely feel like it's one of the kinder communities online.
I'm not a speedrunner yet, so I can't say about the communities of games I'm involved with, but we've seen from the GDQs that the speedrunning communities have a lot of potential. They're coming together right now to make a difference in the world. And we also get a show of how supportive they are for each other and how hyped they are.
I just think that it is a really wholesome and wonderful community, and it's amazing to see something so like fun and silly like speedrunning get together with something amazing like MSF and work together to get raise money for such a wonderful cause, doing something that's just like a lot of fun and very silly. So I think the two together is just wonderful.
It's like a lot of other online communities. Honestly, it's pretty welcoming in most fronts. You do find a couple of your toxic spots here and there, You can go walking down the street, you talk to 20 people. You're going to find most of them are very friendly people too. You ask them for direction. Sorry, I wish I could help you. Or, oh yeah, that's just right down there. Same thing is true online too. But you also find that one asshole who, maybe that's overstepping it, but that one person who's just, maybe they're not having a good day. Something's not right, and they lash out whenever you ask them something basic. And you do sometimes encounter that. And those interactions, just human nature, you latch onto that fire hot moment a lot more than the person helping you, teaching you how to cook this or that. And because of that, I think it gets a little bit of a negative connotation every now and then, just a bad rap here and there, which is kind of unfortunate. I will say it is all of our responsibility to try to remind people, just be kind to each other. We're all people at the end of the day. Help each other out, and try not to lash out or create any of that negativity for any others.
I am active on Twitch. I do stream. I don't stream a bunch of speedruns though. I hate to use the term variety content because that sounds so corporate and soulless. But I've been streaming Final Fantasy 14, and that's been terrible for viewership. Not that I want to be beholden to viewership entirely, but it has not been good for engagement at all. Even my regulars don't show up for Final Fantasy 14, so I'm not going to do that anymore. We're moving our raid night anyways. But I have a pretty broad interest. I'm going to be starting up a stream series soon where I go through first-person shooters from a historical perspective. I'm going to start all the way back, like pre-Wolfenstein first-person shooters, like tank simulators and stuff, and moving forward. And I'm also going to do arcade game sort of exploration. So that's going to be good. I usually have a day for running through a series of some sort, like Yakuza or Ratchet and Clank, or it's gonna be Devil May Cry soon, and then another day where I do whatever the sort of general theme is throughout the rest of the year. So that's what I do. It's funny. I actually don't watch a massive number of streams. I did for a while. I'd say PJ is really funny. PJ DeCesar. He's got a great sense of humor. I hang out in Brosencha's channel a lot because he's involved in Acuso Grande, the Bad Video Games tournament, which I participate in as both a competitor and a game master. Let's see, who else do I watch? Oh crap, there was one other channel. Oh, I watch Simple Flips because, again, I think he's got a really good stream presence. Even though he doesn't speedrun anymore, I think he's got a really good stream presence and a great sense of humor. And and I've been watching a smaller streamer named Greyfruit, who got big on YouTube for a bit because he was doing Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate combo video stuff back when like those combo video montages were the hot shit on YouTube. But I also just, again, I guess I go to Twitch for a lot of comedy, I suppose. So I like his stuff because he's, again, got a really great, unique stream presence. And he has a really good handle on setting up a theme for a stream and then executing on it. So like today, we're gonna play Pong and we're gonna play Dong Dong Never Die, which is like a jank-ass fighting game for PC. A bunch of friends got together in China and made this really janky fighting game. We're gonna record it and we're gonna call the name of the stream Pong Pong Never Die. And it was like, I love that he does stuff like that. So I guess those are my top, what did I say, four? My top four, I'd say.
I'm not a Twitch person. I'm actually more of a YouTube person.
Okay.
And just follow the GDQ channel. But and in that case, more, I guess we can go showrunners and we can go games and people I like to see. So like Andy and anything he does for Link to the Past. I like, well, obviously you gotta like Spike. On the Pokemon side of things, I like quite a few of them. So follow stuff from Kizaron, follow stuff from 360 Chrism, who also ran Galaxy. And he's going to be, the two of those are going to be running Emerald together, which I'm looking forward to this GDQ.
I want to be. I'm just, apprehensive to put my name and face out there, but maybe one day I'll be live on Twitch.
Do you have any favorite streamers at the moment?
Favorite streamers. I always love watching ADEF, and I love watching Covert Muffin. I just think they're just like so fun to watch, and I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who runs the GTA runs, which is so sad because he said he's retiring this year, but
Fru?
Yeah, he's just so funny and so wholesome, and it's also like quite a skill to be able to be funny and commentate and also be speedrunning at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but it's great to watch.
My favorite streamers on Twitch are Bakba Soup, Eternal Enigma, Caleb Hart 42, Maximilian Dude, because outside of speedrunning, I do like fighting games, and I think fighting games and speedrunning go hand in hand. Memorizing tech and then putting it down to a muscle memory. So Maximilian Dude, Caleb Hart, Eternal Enigma, Big John. Big John is one of my favorite creators, and he is so special, and I just love that dude. Other than him, like some smaller streamers like Sunny Muffin and, things like that. But as far as like my daily driver, like Twitch, like people that I watch on Twitch is probably like Caleb Hart, Maximilian, Retro Brando, and Bakba Soup.
Not really. I don't stream or anything. I just hop into chats here and there,
Okay. So,
at that level.
who are some of your favorite streamers?
In the Ocarina of Time space, Richard Sage, I don't know if you've heard of him. I watched some of his stuff. That's probably the biggest Twitch that I hop around, honestly. There's a couple others. Not necessarily speedrunning related, but
Good question. I picked up a couple from GDQ, actually. So I'm buddies with Jaxler, who has run a couple things at GDQ and on Hotfix. That game that he ran, and I'm forgetting the name of it, which is embarrassing. Warden, Melody of the Undergrowth. So that game, I was expecting it to be longer because I misread the schedule, but it's only like a 10-minute long speedrun. But it has some really interesting tech, and it seems like it's pretty accessible and easy to get into, and I own it because it apparently came on the itch.io racial quality bundle. So a bunch of people own it and don't even know, apparently. So I've been meaning to try out that one. I'd really like to try getting better at and routing Die Hard Trilogy for PlayStation 1. It's a game that almost nobody knows about. It's a really cool, it's like an arcade game, like 3-parter. It has like an over-the-shoulder shooter section, a light gun section, and then a driving section. And the first part, they're all standalone games, and the first part is super hard, but it's really cool. Oh, and there was another one, and also because of Jack Slur, I'm going to be developing tech for a Smarties Meltdown, which is based on the European and Canadian Smarties brand. It's almost like M&M's here. And it's terrible. It's so bad. But and then I think I want to get back into 102 Dalmatians again, because I think I kind of gave up at one point, and there's been some tech development since then. I'd like to get back into it because it was a really rewarding game to get fast at. So yeah, I guess, but you asked about games I hadn't played yet, so those are the three other ones that I want to try.
I love when food license games make their way into GDQ.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I run a marathon based on licensed games, so for me it's like, oh, this is right on brand.
I think I've said that it's Galaxy so far, and the reason for that is just childhood memories, right? This was a game that enthralled me so much as a kid, and I think I've already done some of the speedrun stuff, just playing it casually. So that makes it a very easy game to get into. And back to the point of why you do speedrun. You speedrun the games you love and that you want to play more out of, or want to play more in such a busy life. So that's the one. There are some other interesting games, like I would be very interested in learning all the tricks, or not all, but some of the tricks in OOT, things like that. But those are more party games rather than central speedruns.
If I could start speedrunning a game, I would probably say Super Mario World, but I just know it's so optimized and it's so competitive and it's very difficult, but Super Mario World.
It would actually be the game on my shirt. It would be Slay the Spire. I have an embarrassing amount of hours in Slay the Spire. I won't give away how many hours I have in the game, but it's something that I play like almost every day, and I love the gameplay, and it would definitely be on top of my list.
I think Kirby and the Crystal Shards, honestly. Just a cute little game that I'll go back to and play casually every now and then. Not sure why I haven't tried to speedrun it, just honestly didn't think about it till just now.
Oh man, when I was a kid, we had, I think some family friends were getting rid of their older systems, and so we got a Sega Genesis and a Super Nintendo from them. And I was like a small child. I would have been like no older than 6. And so my two brothers were like 4 and 2. So we would play Sonic 2 on our Sega Genesis very rarely. But when we did, it was always a special time. And so we would play the 2-player modes, and we didn't know what spin dashing was. Like we were terrible at that game because again, we were like small children. So the not Carnival Night Zone, Casino Night Zone, how it has these like giant U-shaped buckets with the flippers on the inside. We'd spend the whole level just doing that, and we didn't know what spin dashing was, so we'd get stuck in them sometimes, and then we'd go, well, the only way to get out is to go up and down the sides, which wastes several minutes. It's oh man, it was slow. We never got past that level. It was terrible. But I do look back on that sort of fondly. And I also remember playing a Hot Wheels Flash game on Netscape on an iMac G3 with macOS like 8 or 9 on it. Yeah. And I don't remember which of those came first. But both of those are definitely very early video game memories for me.
It was probably computer games, if those count, probably on, I don't even remember the name of those websites.
Like newgrounds.com, flashgames.com kind of.
I feel like it was an older thing than that, but same idea. Just, doing the stuff before or after or during class.
This is going to age me, when I was little, my parents saved up like all of their money, and they bought my brother and I a Sega Genesis. And it was the Sega Genesis pack that came with Sonic 2. And my older brother did the older brother thing, which is only have one controller plugged in, and he was playing, and I thought that I was playing too, but I obviously wasn't. But that game like really introduced me to what video games could be, and Yeah, I think a lot of people are like Nintendo kids, but I was a Genesis kid.
My first memory of seeing or playing a video game is probably being like 4 or 5, Christmas morning, getting my own Super Nintendo with Super Mario World, plugging it in, and just having my mind obliterated by the fact that like there's Yoshi and there's a dinosaur that I can run around with, and just trying to understand how the cape works and how to cape fly, and just seeing the overworld of the worldview map and the music, and just beating the boo houses and thinking they were so scary and they were so cool. Once you finished, I'm like, oh, I just got out of that. But like that overworld map and just sitting there on like Saturday morning and just holding the SNES controller and just being like, this is peak childhood.
I think that would have to be going back and playing a Link to the Past on the SNES way back. I think that was, my brother got that for Christmas and started playing it that morning, and is what it is.
Oh, that's a hard one. A recent favorite I would say is Celeste, and it's kind of maybe odd for me to put that on there because of all the games I've played recently. I've only played it once, and I haven't even gotten all the way to the end. But like, it's that good. It's just the level of difficulty is perfect. The accessibility options are great. The story it tells is really heartwarming and impactful. The music's great. The visuals are exceptional. And it's not like it's an entirely new concept. You can see where it borrows all over the place, but the way it weaves together all of its ideas is absolutely immaculate. Easily, I think, one of the best games released in the past 5 years, unless it wasn't released in the past 5 years, in which case it's entirely possible time has no meaning anymore.
Right.
But I'd have to put that on close to the top. I want to say Halo 1 as well. It's I think one of the first-person shooters I played that wasn't like at my friend's house, like on my own PC, and it's such a well-crafted game. Again, good story, good music. The gunplay is, I think, some of the best in the series. I know that some people are going to disagree with that, but I actually think the Magnum is a very balanced weapon. It should be a DMR, and then people wouldn't complain. But I really like Halo CE quite a lot, even if the PC version isn't as good as the Xbox version.
Yes, it is a very hard question. Number one, I've already, it's coming, I've mentioned it so many times, it's Galaxy, or Super Mario Galaxy for the full name. Number two, I'm going to have to say Halo Reach. Halo has been very foundational for my sort of mid-childhood, and I'm going to answer Reach because, well, partially it came out right about the time that I was getting into those types of games, and secondly, I just love the art style, the style in general, the grittiness, and the fact that I was 12 years old at the time made it so that I was genuinely scared of teammates dying every time a cutscene started. Like, it really affected me.
Okay, well, I have to put Slay the Spire in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Stardew Valley, which I have too many hours in as well. And recently I finished Inscription, and I want to play it again and again and again. And I'm gonna give you a bonus game because I need to shout it out because nobody knows what it is. But have you ever heard of the game Hypnospace Outlaw?
No.
I think that it's like the most amazing game. It's a nostalgia trip into the internet before the year 2000. It's like 1999 internet is where the game's set. And I've never played any game like it. And I tell every single person to go play Hypnospace Outlaw because it's like, I don't want to spoil any of it. It's just great. Yeah.
Gotcha. I know Inscription is really good. That's the card-based?
Yeah. I'm super into card-based, like, roguelikes and likes. And Inscription's, like, top tier for me. I think the gameplay is, like, spooky fun.
Yeah.
And the card game itself is, like, really smart and makes you think.
I've heard there's some crazy twists and turns,
Yeah,
too.
the story is wild.
Yeah, I can't wait to play that one.
Yeah.
Top 3 favorite games in general. Number 1 is probably Final Fantasy VII for PS1. I have a lot of strong memories with that game because that was my first, like, I was old enough to understand the mechanics of RPG. Like, I had played Super Mario RPG and Earthbound, but as I got older, that was the first game that I was old enough to A, read the dialogue and understand and comprehend the dialogue, B, understand the mechanics, and C, be able to really be able to engage and drive forward and understand the story and the sense of loss and corporate greed. That is obviously number one. Number two is Earthbound. The quirkiness of that game, I still play once a year. I religiously play Earthbound once a year. The dialogue and the humor is so ahead of its time for Earthbound, and every NPC that you walk up to and you talk to has something really funny to say, and that game is just awesome. And the number three is probably Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, because that's the funniest Nintendo game ever made. The combat is so good, and all the dialogue is just, those are probably my top three.
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are really high up there for me, of course. Those were very, very influential on me. Just sunk way too many hours of those as a kid. And then a lot of the Halo franchise as well, specifically Halo 3. Just that was right around where it seemed to peak in there was the online aspect, but then we were still, internet wasn't quite good enough for like that to be your only interaction with people. And it was still a little bit of Wild West with the communication and everything, and that's whenever you heard all the not so kind words that shape you into learning how to tolerate, even people being not so nice to you. But then what I was getting at with that was, because the internet wasn't super duper strong in a lot of the country still at that point, you had a lot of in-person stuff as well still. So now it's all condensed down to these really, really big events, whereas before you would have little local things, you'd go over to your buddy's house to play with them still. But then, you could still play with them online if he couldn't make it. So you would still have a whole bunch of the in-person mixed with a little bit of online, but not too much.
Yeah. I remember playing Halo 2 LAN parties and that just
Exactly.
being like the coolest ever.
Oh man, I mean, it may very well just be Sonic 2, because I still love the Sonic franchise to this day, even if I can recognize its flaws, of which there are numerous, or there are many. I want to say like Sonic 2 is probably up there. I also played Super Mario World, but I was terrible at it. I'm still terrible at it. So I don't know why. P-Speed screws with my head. Yeah, it's funny actually, because the games that I played as a kid, honestly, a lot of them didn't really carry over to being an adult. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't like buying my own games. And I only had a PlayStation 2. Well, I don't know what happened to the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. So, when I was a kid, we had a couple games, and for the most part, yeah, I would say they didn't really carry over. When I got a computer of my own when I was a teenager, and we got a PS3 at one point. But as soon as I got my own PC, the games I started playing were almost entirely different. It was like a whole world of games and genres had been opened up to me that I had never known about before. So, I guess if I had to pick a game from my childhood, I'd say Sonic 2, because it's one of, if not the first games I ever played. And I guess I value the things that I valued in Sonic 2 still. The fluidity of control, and I like the feeling of going fast, and I like I especially like being able to go fast and to chain together cool jumps and spins and hops and bopping enemies and stuff uninterrupted. I guess that's probably why I like Celeste so much too, right? Or why I like, say, Super Mario 64, because it's because they all have a great deal of fluidity and control. So yeah, I'd probably pick that.
Gotta think about that. The game that probably was most constructive to me was a weirdie from our grade 4 class. We would have every Friday there was a games time, and we just worked on computers at the back, and there was a game called Holot's Castle, And that was a fad within the class for a while, and people got a bit obsessive over it. It's just a 2D platformer with a handful of levels that we were really bad at because we were 9 years old. And the reason I'm answering that is my group of friends got more obsessed over that game than the rest of the class. So we pretty much made up a whole imaginary world themed around Holot's Castle, and that lasted for years and years.
Resident Evil 2. There was a commercial that I got because my dad was working at a machine shop and they did business overseas, so they got to go to like Japan and stuff and do stuff over there, and he brought me a tape that was a teaser tape for Resident Evil 2, and it was a commercial that George A. Romero did, and it's a commercial for Resident Evil 2, and it's Claire and Leon, and they're running away from zombies, and I thought that was the coolest thing because my parents were really into horror movies when I was a kid, and he showed me that, and I was like, I've got to get this game. And then when I got it, it was like horror and puzzle, and that, like, Resident Evil 2 to this day, like, I still hum some of like the themes to like the save room theme, and that game is still, if I'm on a desert island and I can take one game, it's probably Resident Evil 2, just because the music and the 2 discs and just thinking about being in my cold basement playing Resident Evil 2, like, I can feel that image, and it's definitely Resident Evil 2. Like, that means the most to me.
I actually think it was when we got an Xbox, and the Xbox we got came with like a double-sided game set. One side was a racing game, which I don't remember which one it was, but the other side had Jet Set Radio Future. And that game changed my perception of video games. I didn't know video games could look like Jet Set Radio Future, and I didn't know they could sound like it either, because that album, like the album on that video game, I still listen to it like without playing the game. So I think that game really like showed me that, like, you know, video games aren't just about like platforms and like bouncing off stuff. It's about like creative outlets and like you know, the gameplay is so unique there that it's, you know, something special. Crossing my fingers that maybe they'll bring it back, but I know it's a long time gone kind of game. But yeah, definitely Jet Set Radio Future.
Sorry to keep repeating the same game.
Oh, you're fine.
Again, Ocarina of Time just sunk way too many hours, captured my imagination way back then. Just, that was basically the game I had. We didn't have too many games back then. Just personal, family couldn't afford way too many of them, you know how that is. I think that story relates to quite a few people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very fortunate for what I did have, that's for sure. Got it a lot better than many, but, you know, because of that, sunk a whole bunch of hours into it, just replaying the same stuff, making up little things here and there, and just, yeah. It's not the greatest game out there ever. It does show its age, but it is special to me.
So I could experience it again. Oh man. I mean Celeste. But I would almost say the Outer Wilds as well.
Oh.
There was have you played the Outer Wilds?
Yes,
Okay.
That game made me feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And like I need to go back and like actually play more of it. But there are so many clues that will let you anticipate what's coming next. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV does the same thing actually with its story mode that I've been really impressed by. I would almost say Final Fantasy XIV as well, except I know what the early game content is like, so maybe I wouldn't want to experience that for the first time again. I might get discouraged.
I might actually go with some retro games. This actually, maybe we can add Twilight Princess into my list of top 3 games. That's something that I would love to erase as well. I haven't got a lot of experience playing it, but I watched it a lot. And as with a lot of other Zelda games, figuring out all the content that there is to the game is such a part of the experience. And going into something like that blind would be so much better than knowing all the stuff about it. Let's say Twilight Princess.
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger.
That game sticks with you until the very end, and being able to do the side quests and you go forward in time and then you go backward in time, and just experiencing the soundtrack again and the combat and getting all of the endings, it'd be Chrono Trigger in a heartbeat. I wish I could forget that and just start it just one more time, just getting Frog's ending and going up to fight Magus, and they leave it. Have you finished Chrono Trigger?
I have not, no.
There's an ending that's, do you know of Chrono Trigger?
I do, yes.
Do you know the party member Frog? He's got the sword. If you get his ending, you go to this castle and you fight Magus, and the ending leaves it very ambiguous as to who actually wins. And it's just, you see one person standing alone on the top of the castle, and you see a cape flowing, and they both have capes, so it's up to you to determine who do you think won that fight. And it's very ambiguous because it's pitch black, so you don't know who won that fight, and it just leaves you as a kid like, I really want to know, but it's up to your interpretation. And if I could do that and see that all over again, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would neuralize myself just to do that. If the neuralizer was real, it'd be Chrono Trigger, then probably Paper Mario Thousand Year Door if I can neuralize myself. It's those every time.
I'm gonna bring it up again. Hypnospace Outlaw. It's something special. So like, this won't give away anything, but you're playing like almost like a judge, police officer kind of person, and you're like keeping the internet safe, and you're finding like copyright issues and stuff like that, and you're like literally like stomping a gavel on people who are doing incorrect things on the internet in 1999. And the storyline and what happens in that game, you can only experience it once, and I like talk about it all the time that I wish I could play that game over again, but it's definitely like a one-time playthrough. So if you ever play Hypnospace Outlaw, take your time. Definitely not a speedrun kind of game the first time through.
Did you ever play the Payday games?
I think I played some of the first one.
I don't know. Those were pretty good, as you would, all the strategies, coming up with those again, relearning all that sort of stuff might be interesting. Coming into some of these older games, like any of Mine 64 stuff that I cling to so dearly now, all of those, just getting to see them again fresh. See how they would compare nowadays, like without the nostalgia. As I can try to filter out the nostalgia, but it's there. I can't really get rid of that. I am somewhat curious how some of that would be.
Awesome. Yeah, those games were really cool.
Bring snacks with you, like bring some food so you're not always eating out, or budget to eat out, but it, you know, in my case, I went to Target and got like salads and stuff. I would also say, you know, if you know anyone else who's going, especially, make plans to meet up and do stuff, because it's a pretty low energy event, right? There's going to be stuff going on at the event. There's tournaments. There's going to be people in the practice room. But I would say block out the runs that you really want to see in person, and try to make those work for you. But definitely part of this event is making your own fun. So, you know, bring a console, bring games with you, you know, plan to do some stuff, maybe not with a strict schedule, but have that in mind when you show up. And talk to people. I would also say, you know, just talk to people. The folks here, I spent the first day or two going like, oh man, there's all this like dead time where I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm sort of looking for things to do. And that feeling went away pretty fast, because I just started talking to people and getting involved, and I started enjoying myself. And what I found is that everyone here who I've talked to has been really, really nice.
You don't think about the back rooms, but I've spent more time in the practice rooms than I have in the main ballroom.
I agree. I've spent more time in the practice room than I have in the main ballroom, and it's not because I don't like watching GDQ runs. I mean, right. I paid money to come here, right? But you know, I have heard from other people in the past that the real GDQ is in the practice room, and now I know what they mean. Because, like, look, you'll never experience, nowhere else will you experience 15 people standing around a PlayStation 2 while Jaxler tries to clip his way through a barrier in a crappy licensed Canadian Skittles game. And then everybody erupting in cheers while the other serious speedrun practice goes on around us. You'll never get that anywhere else. You'll never get the guys trying to convince everyone else to speedrun Shaq Fu, right? Or the melee tournaments or the Mario Kart tournaments that go on here. It's such a good time. Definitely the practice room is popping off the whole week. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's 24/7. There's always somebody in there.
Games Done Quick is an awesome event, and there's no tough application process to get in to be a volunteer. Or I guess eventually after you're a volunteer you might look at becoming a staff. But definitely think about it. It's a great way to do more than just donating in contributing to this awesome event. And you can get to meet other parts of the GDQ community as well. And you still got to watch the runs.
Yeah, Mario Maker 2 was coming out. It was Summer Games Done Quick 2019. Mario Maker 2 was coming out. I put it in the Discord. Hey, does anybody want to come play Mario Maker 2? They're going to give it to me early, and I'm going to go set up in the World 9 room. And I met a few people there, and we played Mario Maker 2 for like 8 hours that night. Like from the night it came out till the next morning, we played it for 8 hours. And I just had so much fun just hanging out with people, watching the stream, playing Mario Maker 2, and meeting people and just being like, we come from all skill sets, but we all love one thing, and that's just like games. And the people that I met there, I go to every Games Done Quick with now. Like, I've kept in touch with all those people that I met that night. 2 of them are here, and we go to every Games Done Quick that we can together.
Yeah, do it. It's I don't really know anybody in the community. Like, I came here with my partner, and like we don't really know anybody here, but it has felt so like the camaraderie here is incredible. I have only run into nice and kind people. It feels just inclusive and comfortable, and it's on top of everything for an amazing cause with MSF, and I can't think of a better place to be than GDQ. It's just a good time all around.
It's pretty much what you would probably expect. It's pretty fun. It is unfortunate, as I mentioned earlier, about the whole COVID restrictions. Probably doesn't have its full feel, but that's the way life is. Got to roll with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely been a lot of fun as my first in-person event. Again, as speedrunning community is, they're pretty nice overall. Very inviting. We are in the middle of, we're near the end of Pride Month. People are very open about that. Side note, me and a bunch of friends we're going to be wearing a Be Gay, Do Crime shirts tomorrow. That's going to be fun on a bun. Just,
Yeah.
Just
That's awesome.
Just come hang out. Should be fun. It's basically what you would expect. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to just shout out the whole Taskbot community again. They've put up with my shenanigans. I know I can come off pretty mean or aggressive at times online, just because I like to help people at the end of the day. And sometimes that is providing information. And not everyone always needs to hear it, or not everyone wants to hear it or needs to hear it. And that is one thing I need to improve on, is picking up on that sometimes. But they put up with my shenanigans, so shout outs to them. Whole Ocarina of Time speedrunning community, same deal. They put up with my shenanigans for years. I've been talking about submitting a run for years and years and years. Give me another 10 years, okay, guys? Maybe.
Honestly, I would just like to shout out Games Done Quick in general, because without them putting on this event, I wouldn't have made friends that helped me get through the pandemic. I wouldn't have met friends that I consider family now. I wouldn't have made the memories and just had such great experiences. So Games Done Quick would be one And then 2 would probably be my mom for getting me a Super Nintendo and Super Mario World and fostering my love for video games. And growing up, like, all my friends are like, my parents hate video games, my parents hate video games. My mom nurtured my love for video games, and she didn't just like embrace it, like she knew how much I loved it, and she helped me go full force into that. And like she sacrificed a lot so I could get like GameCube's day one, Game Boy Advance's day one. Without her pushing me and really, she didn't understand it, but she knew I loved it. And without her helping me as a child, like just have all these experiences, I would be such a different person. Definitely, you got to shout your mom out. Without her, you know, getting you Resident Evil 2 when the guy at Toys R Us is like, that's a violent game.
Yeah.
My mom's like, no, my kid loves it. I got to.
That's awesome.
Without my mom, like, I would be such a different person.
Mm-hmm.
She loves everything that, like, when I'm passionate about, like, she makes sure that I can do that. And whether it was like video games or, you know, doing this or doing that, she was always made sure that I could go head full. So Games Done Quick and my mom.
All right, I'll let you in. I'm close to 5,000 hours on Slay the Spire.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a close to the heart kind of game for me.
I was watching. Wow, that was awesome. First and foremost, I have to thank Wubba Dubsman, Jess the Iguana, Tempestral, Gravitos, and Sunny Fruitcake, all from taking time from this event that they love to speak with me about their experience. Because since the broadcast on Twitch is only limited to the production area, you all have offered a unique perspective of what it's like on the ground floor. So whether you are veterans of GDQ or just getting started in speedrunning, I hope this video gave you some insight into the community that makes this all possible. I'm Chris, and until next time. Oh, and here's one of my favorite memories from the event. This is at the end of the Pokemon run when donations had just reached 800,000. Once again, thanks.